Oh no, I've been catboyed. Welcome everybody to the stream. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the show. My name is Stuart Davis, your host of Flawed Man of God. I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor, not a biblical scholar, and I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about Christianity, talk about the Bible, talk about a wide variety of different issues, topics, and current events, and give you my perspective on them. One that I think, um, one that I think represents that of an average Christian guy. Excuse me, choking on my oatmeal. I've been a Christian all my life, 40 years, non-denominational Protestant. Don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the Word daily, trying to do it better each and every day. Sometimes I'll get it right, and many times I'll get it wrong. But regardless, we're on here, and you're going to get what I have to give you. So if you are somebody who is interested in learning more about Jesus, if you're curious about the faith of Christianity, if you want to know more, and if there is perhaps a voice in the back of your mind wondering if there's more to your existence than just your life here on earth, welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Hope you can get something out of this. Hopefully you get some sort of insight and influence from me to help you better understand what a relationship with God is all about. It's a very lay approach. It's not expert at all, but maybe it will help put to rest any particular stereotypes or preconceptions you might have about church, about the Bible, about Christians. Christians, we don't do a good job representing ourselves very well. We definitely don't do a good job representing God. If you look through Scripture, it's replete with bad behavior. And maybe that's where we'll start with teaching you how the Bible is more than just a book of rules and judgments and dry passages, which is what many people think of it as. But once you get into it, you quickly learn there's so much more. There is a beginning, there is an origin, there is betrayal, there is war, there is love, there is agreements, contracts, covenants. There are songs, there are proverbs, there's grace, forgiveness, salvation, prophecy, many things, all wrapped up into Scripture that we call the Bible. And yes, there is also laws. There is the foundation of our faith and the church as we know it. And while we're talking about churches, yes, many churches can be not the best representation of what we're supposed to be. Some places don't represent Christianity very well. However, there are good, wholesome places of worship out there. And you'll find them if you look hard enough. If you make an honest effort to get plugged in, to look and see if a church and its culture is preaching the gospel, preaching the word, holding fast to Scripture, but at the same time looking out for its congregation. The congregation members, open, inviting, leaning on each other for support. It's like a family, and that's the way it should be. Helping each other out when we are weak, and holding each other accountable when we are acting in a way we shouldn't. Celebrating success and mourning losses. So there you have it. If you're already a Christian, glad to have you here. Maybe you just like Christian topics and conversation. I think you'll like this place. Either way, this is a very relaxed, comfortable, informal setting in which to talk about Scripture, in which to talk about Christianity and many other things faith related. So I think you guys will like this. We run this very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school. And we'd love to have you in the chat, whether you're whether you're new to Christianity or have been in the faith for years and years. You'll see a group of regulars tuning in, and they make this show better. So, with that said, how's everybody doing? It's Wednesday night. It's the last stream of this week, which means I'm going to have to make it up to you guys next week, and give you all the more content as a result. But here's the thing: you guys have been so great as a chat that we have lengthened our program. Oftentimes, what you was averaging to be a 45-minute to an hour long episodes, normally ranging around an hour, they're now going about an hour and a half. It's pretty impressive. And it's not because of me running my mouth. I mean, it is a little bit, but it's you guys giving me things to run my mouth about and being active participants. So I appreciate that, fellas, and any ladies who are watching. But Nico is the first in here tonight. Emmanuel Osorio pointing out the fact that I am indeed late. My son and I were bonding, having some good times playing some video games on mobile devices, and then he decided he wanted to take extra long getting ready for bed. So I had to get on him a little bit, but he's all tucked in with the other kiddos, and now I'll see him in the morning. Probably not. I like to check in on them while they're sleeping, but he won't see me until the morning. Dresden, welcome as well. And MR dropping by just briefly. Howdy, dropping by to say hi. Gonna have to bounce in a few. Well, MR, I know that I'm happy to have you here in whatever capacity and whatever time and duration it is. Hopefully things are going well with the bar studying and all that, and Emmanuel as well with your CDL testing. Hope you guys are doing well with that. Don't think that I've forgotten. What I also haven't forgotten about is the genealogy. And the Bible is here. First Chronicles is here to remind me. And there to remind me it is what it is. It's not the most intense of things, but as we found out, we can turn a genealogy discussion into something more. Like was it Monday night? We turned it into a discussion about Phineas, my man. So Emmanuel says, I can't wait for you to show your kid Halo 1 and see his face when he hits the flood. Well, we almost got to that. Right now, he has me playing Horizon. That's the game he likes watching me play. That's what we've been in the middle of. We started with Halo, but if you're going to start with Halo, and you've got the entire Halo lineup in front of you, where do you start? Start with Reach. So I played through Reach, and he watched me, and he enjoyed Reach. A little sad, Not like Halo gets any better. There's a lot of the same themes in Halo. And then we started playing Halo, and my wife did gently remind me that there's an awful lot of violence for a then 8-year-old kid, maybe almost 8-year-old kid. So we backed off on that. Played Fable, did a playthrough of Fable. He enjoyed that. He wants me to finish Horizon, and then we're going to go back and we're going to go into the Final Fantasy VII remake, and maybe get the Horizon sequel, depending on how he likes it when it ends out. Horizon still has some violence to it as well, but it's mostly on giant robots. which is okay, which is fine. So, and he's getting older. So we're thinking about maybe when he gets to be 11, maybe we'll get back into Halo. We didn't get deep into Halo before we quit out, but it'll be interesting to see what his reaction to the Flood is. For me, the Flood, being my age, to me, when I saw the Flood, I was like, oh, those look like the head crabs in Half-Life, because that's what I grew up with. When I was in middle school, GoldenEye came out. Maybe I was a freshman in high school. It was around 8th, 9th grade. GoldenEye came out and Half-Life came out. And dude, we played a ton of those. Played a ton of that. But to me, Halo remains one of the spookiest games I've ever played, just because because of the timing and because of the timing of just how old I was, and the fact that I played Half-Life in the basement at night in the dark. It was a creepy game to play. So, Manuel, I'm testing out in 2 weeks' time. I'll update you when I get my license. Best of luck to you on that. Emmanuel said, I remember playing a San Andreas his age along with Guitar Hero. Dude, I love Guitar Hero. San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto, GTA games are banned in my house. I put that ban in. And I played GTA as a kid, but they are terrible games for kids to play. Terrible games for kids to play. San Andreas too, especially because that's got some of the worst content. I didn't play. I don't think I ever played a GTA game after a San Andreas. I don't think it. But man, that was the worst. I mean, you could be an absolute villain in some of the worst ways. And so I don't think that's good for kids. I ruined Christmas for a couple of my coworkers, their kids, because two ladies, both a little bit older than me. I had just had my son, and they had a couple of kids their age. And I said, well, we were talking. I was like, oh, I got my kids video games for Christmas. They know I'm a gamer, so they're always asking me. It's like, yeah. What games did you get? And one of them said, she said, Grand Theft Auto, and I go, which kid? And she told, I was like, do you know what that game's about? And she goes, it's about cars. I said, there's cars in it. Yes, you can drive the cars. Do you know how you get the cars? And so I went through the list, and immediately that game went back to GameStop. And then as soon as she heard that, she goes, well, I'm going to tell so-and-so, because she got her kid that too. And so it's called, so we were talking about it. That game went back to GameStop. And it didn't surprise me, but looking back, I mean, we've done, my generation and Generation X, and a little bit of the late boomers did such a terrible job policing and paying attention to what video games their kids were playing. My parents paid attention to it because they were the ones who bought the games. Like, I didn't go to a video game store and decide what I wanted to play. I could say what I wanted and they would go look at it. But for most part, it was growing up. I mean, it was very much when it was the NES, I had Mario, Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt was such a hard sell. That was a hard sell on getting the Nintendo, because my mom didn't like me playing with guns, period. And this Nintendo came with a gun for Duck Hunt. And it was a long briefing session on how the gun was only used for duck hunt, and when the Nintendo went away, so did the pistol. So, um, the so we got that. I mean, it was mostly benign games like that. I played the crap out of Mario 3, and when it was Sega, I was a little bit older for Sega Genesis. Obviously, Sonic came with the game. And if Joe Montana's NFL Football 94, I played those two games so much. My brother called it Hooked on Sonic. And what else? I had the Jurassic Park game, which was a little violent, a little on the violent side. Not anything close to what we see today. What else? Just a lot of sports games and a lot of Toe Jam and Earl, Earthworm Jim. And then by the time that we got the N64, I was old enough at that point that a lot of stuff you could just play. And then when PlayStation 2 came out, I was an adult. I remember the first time I was an adult, when PlayStation 2 dropped with Final Fantasy X. I was in the Army. I was at Fort Eustis in helicopter school, and I was blown away. I just walked in. It was the scene where Yuna's doing one of the sendings or whatever, and the graphics just blew me away. I was just like amazed at it. So, but and that's when I had seen all during this time. I was also getting into computer gaming, Age of Empires 2, Command and Conquer, StarCraft, Warcraft, a lot of RTSs, and Half-Life, all throughout that time. Battle chess, and back when CD-ROM first came out, and this game, I haven't seen it since Mantis XF 5700. It was a CD-ROM game we got, and it's basically an alien. It was basically Wing Commander. It was a Wing Commander clone. So it was the CD-ROM was so great. Sonic the Dolphin, or not Sonic, Echo the Dolphin on Genesis. All sorts of crazy games. But around the time Age of Empires came about, that's when the first Grand Theft Auto came out. And I don't know, I think that came out on PS1, but I missed it because I didn't have a PS1 and I wasn't all that interested in anything other than real RTS games at the time on computer. So I just kind of missed that one. But when Grand Theft Auto Vice City, I think, was the first one I started to play, or 3. It might have been 3. And I played the crap out of that. But I was, again, much older at that point. And they got to a point where I was like, I don't like this. I like the open world theme. I like the freedom that you can do, but I don't like being the villain. I am the quintessential do the right thing all the time in the video game type person. Now, I wasn't always, but I always wanted to do the right thing, but you can't really be a noble person in Grand Theft Auto, or what's that other weird one? Saints Row. I think Saints Row came out when I was in Iraq, and we played the crap out of that. So, MR says Mario 3 was my favorite as a hand-me-down. Loved it. Mario 3 might be my favorite Nintendo game, period. Mario 3, I love it. I could play it all the time. I mean, I played a lot of Mario because I had a handheld for a long time. Super Mario World on Game Boy, first Mario game I ever beat. Love that game as well. That's my might be my second favorite Mario game as well. Because it was a great starter Mario game, because it was a Mario game you could actually beat. Super Mario 3 was hard and fun, and then it got towards when you get to the the dungeon levels, then it gets really hard really fast. And so it was hard for me as a kid. But Super Mario World, I beat finally, and I thought that was a crowning achievement in my youth, was when I beat Super Mario World. It's such a great game. MR said, I'm out, Stu. Catch you on the replay, friend. I haven't seen you in a year. Is in town. See you all next week. Yes, sir, MR. Have fun with your friend. Hope everything is well. May you have some good times catching up and enjoying your company. Manuel is a Super Mario World is one of my favorite games. The one that introduced Yoshi. Oh, and for SNES. Yeah, I didn't have a Super Nintendo, which I kind of was sad. My parents got the Sega instead. I missed out on the RPGs because what I ended up finding is my friend, he had a Super Nintendo, and we would take those on he would go on vacation with us, and he would bring his Super Nintendo, that was when Mario Kart and JRPGs. And I was like, dude, these games are great. Why aren't they on Sega? They weren't. So there you have it. That's a good intro. What happened to Nico? Disappeared. Must be in class. Anyway, so let's talk about First Chronicles. Take a bite out of it. Look, guys, I'm getting old. I'm getting old because I enjoy oatmeal again. You start enjoying oatmeal after you have a baby, because that's one of the starter foods, and so that's when I started eating it again. And since I haven't had babies in a while, haven't eaten it, but I found my in-laws eat it, and so I was scrounging for something to eat, and I found these packets of oatmeal. I was like, I need some oatmeal, and so I ate some oatmeal just now. Anyway, back to First Chronicles. We are going to wrap up most of the genealogy tonight. There's going to be more of it on Tuesday, but we will end Tuesday leaving it. And that will leave Wednesday with getting into David. So we'll briefly touch on Saul, and then we'll get into David. That's how, again, you already see how Chronicles is taking a little bit different approach on things. We are barely touching on Saul, but we're going to go over his genealogy Tuesday and tonight as well. Where will we start off, though? I'm going to start off with Issachar. Let's see if we can pull any notable names out from this. First Chronicles chapter 7, Issachar, the sons of Issachar, Tola, Pula, Jashub, and Shimron, 4 in all. The sons of Tola, Uzi, Raphiah, Jeriel, Jamai, Ibsam, and Samuel, heads of their families. During the reign of David, the descendants of Tola, listed as fighting men in their genealogy, numbered 22,600. That's a lot of warrior blood in there, Tola. The sons of Uzi, Israiah, or the son of Uzi, Israiah. The sons of Israiah, Michael, Obadiah, Joel, and Ishiah. All 5 of them were chiefs. Michael, Obadiah, Joel, and Ishiah. I guess Israiah is also in there, counting being the 5th. All 5 of them were chiefs. According to their family genealogy, they had 36,000 men ready for battle, for they had many wives and children. You have to have lots of children to have 36,000 men ready for battle. The relatives who were fighting men belonged to all the clans of Issachar, as listed in their genealogy, were 87,000 in all. I don't know at what time period they are reckoning the 87,000. That's kind of a mystery to me. I'm sure somebody's got the answer to it, but when we're talking about this 36,000, the 22,000, the 87,000, is this during the Exodus or is this during Joshua's reign? Not sure what Joshua's reign, Joshua's leadership. Not sure. Benjamin, 3 sons of Benjamin. I would going back. I would wager that this is either during the Exodus or it's during David. Benjamin, 3 sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, and Jediel. The sons of Bela, Esbon, Uzi, Uziel, Jeremoth, and Eri, heads of families, 5 in all. That's 5 before. Okay. Grammatically, this is not making sense to me. In this case, it does. 5 in all. Their genealogical records listed 22,034 fighting men. The sons of Becher, Zimriah, could be Becker, Zemira, Joash, Eleazar, Elione, Omri, Jeremoth, Abijah, Anathoth, and Amaleth. All these were sons of Becher. Their genealogical record listed the heads of the families and 20,200 fighting men. The son of Jediel, Bilhan. The sons of Bilhan, Jeush, Benjamin, Ehud, Kena, Zephan, Tarshish, and Ashishashar. Why do that to your? Why make that the name? Ashishashar. Ahishashar. Ahishahar. That's what it is. Ahishahar. All these sons of Jediel were heads of families. There were 17,200 fighting men ready to go out to war. The Shupites and Hupites were the descendants of Ir, and the Hushites the descendants of Aher. Naphtali, the sons of Naphtali, Jaziel, Guni, Jezer, and Shillem, the descendants of Bilhah. Manasseh, these are the descendants of Manasseh. Now, Manasseh and Ephraim, remember, these are the 2 sons of Joseph. They get their tribes. Because Joseph, I think, splits. Let's go back to Joseph. Let's as a reminder, why do we split that off? Sometime later, Joseph was told, hang on, let's go back to when these 2 were born. Let's see. At some point, he introduces the fact that he's got, I don't know if they're twins or if they're just regular siblings. Anyway, sometime later, Joseph was told, your father is ill. So he took his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, along with him. When Jacob was told, your son Joseph has come to you, Israel rallied his strength and sat up on the bed. Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and there he blessed me and said to me, I am going to make you fruitful and increase your numbers. I will make you a community of peoples, and I will give this land as an everlasting possession to your descendants after you. Now then, your 2 sons born to you in Egypt before I came to you here will be reckoned as mine. Ephraim and Manasseh will be mine, just as Reuben and Simeon are mine. That's what it is. Any children born to you after them will be yours. In the territory they inherit, they will be reckoned under the names of their brothers. As I was returning from Padan, to my sorrow, Rachel died in the land of Canaan while we were still on the way, a little distance from Ephrath. So I buried her there beside the road to Ephrath, which that is Bethlehem. So yes. All right. So there you go. So Israel basically said, I missed all this time with you, so I'm going to give both of them a share of my inheritance. So Joseph basically gets a double portion of inheritance. And then due to the fact that both of his sons earn a portion. So instead of splitting 12 ways, they split 13 ways. But you still get 12 tribes of Israel because the Levites are a 13th tribe, but they are not. They belong they are part of the priesthood, so they're kind of an outlier. Anyway, so that's just some rehashing of Chronicles, or rehashing of the why we're going over that. Oh wait, let me go here. Why Manasseh and Ephraim are being counted in here, even though they were not actual sons of Jacob. They were actually Jacob's grandsons. And they're the only grandsons who are given a portion, but that's because, I think, of what happened to Joseph. Emmanuel said, now that's a lot of fighting for us, but I get it, because if you ain't farming or fighting, then you're dying. Pretty much. Nobody bragged about being tax collectors back then. Or if you're king like Solomon, you're sowing a lot of seeds, but you're not exactly farming. If you pick up what I'm putting down. Manasseh, the descendants of Manasseh. Azriel was his descendant through his Aramean concubine. She gave birth to Machir, the father of Gilead. Machir took a wife from among the Huppites and Shupites. His sister's name was Maacah, or Maacah. Another descendant was named Zelophehad, who had only daughters. Zelophehad is actually an interesting footnote. Machir's wife, Maacah, gave birth to a son and named him Peresh. His brother was named Sheresh, and his sons were Ulam and Rakim. Machir's wife, Maacah. Machir took a wife from among the Huppites and Shupites. His sister's name was Maacah. But then it says Machir's wife, Maacah. I'm missing something here again. Oh, they haven't done that. Ooh, what does it mean? And then they don't answer it. Let's see. There are several people, women, and men in the Bible with the name of Maacah. Okay. So it's like, I guess that's like having a sister named Jessica, and then you marry a girl named Jessica. Or it means something else. But like I said, Alabama's just Old Testament Christians right there. There we go. The son of Ulam beat. Oh, hold on. The descendant was named Zelophehad, who had only daughters. We'll go back and remember Zelophehad. The daughters of Zelophehad, son of Hefer, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh. See, now we already got this genealogy down because we were just reading it. He belonged to the clans of Manasseh, son of Joseph. The names of the daughters were Mala, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They came forward and stood before Moses, Eleazar the priest, the leaders, and the whole assembly at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and said, Our father died in the wilderness. He was not among Korah's followers, who banded together against the Lord, but he died for his own sin and left no sons. Why should our father's name disappear from his clan because he had no son? Give us property among our father's relatives. This is a great way to show how early Israelite culture was taking shape, and why it was such a great system when applied correctly. So these women come, and we're in Numbers, so we've already been given Levitical law, so we're already understanding how things are passed down. Well, ladies come up and they go, look, our dad didn't have a son as an heir, which will happen, right? But just because he had that, what happens with all of our inheritance? Is there no inheritance? Does he disappear and it just gets absorbed into the clan? We should have something, right? Why should our father's name disappear from his clan because he had no son? Give us property among our father's relatives. So Moses brought their case before the Lord. And the Lord said to him, What Zelophehad's daughters are saying is right. You must certainly give them property as an inheritance among their father's relatives and give their father's inheritance to them. Now, normally what happened is the the son would take the inheritance and he would provide for the family, like, and not just his wife and kids, but also his sisters until they were married and they were out doing their own thing. Say to the Israelites, wait, before I get back into that. So if he's not there, nobody's looking out for them. They have to look out for themselves. So you must certainly give them property as an inheritance among their father's relatives and give their father's inheritance to them. Say to the Israelites, if a man dies and leaves no son, give his inheritance to his daughter. If he has no daughter, give his inheritance to his brothers. If he has no brothers, give his inheritance to his father's brothers. If his father had no brothers, give his inheritance to the nearest relative in his clan that he may possess it. This is to have the force of law for the Israelites, as the Lord commanded Moses. Hey, guess what? Now your stuff's not sitting in probate forever. It's really nice and simple. This is how the stuff gets passed down. There you go. And so they said that. And then later on, I want to say, it's in Joshua. Right, and lays it out really clear. It keeps somebody else from coming in and basically taking things away from these women, right? That belongs to them, because for the simple fact that another guy comes in and be like, well, I'm a male relative, and so I'll grab it. And he has he doesn't have much of a responsibility to these women. Whereas, a father almost certainly wants his daughters to inherit what he has if he has no son to take over for him. Hang on. Here we go. It's at the end of Numbers. I'm sorry, not the end of. All right. Inheritance of Zelophehad's daughters. The family heads of the clan of Gilead, son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, who were from the clans of the descendants of Joseph, came and spoke before Moses and the leaders, the heads of the Israelite families. They said, "When the Lord commanded my Lord to give the land as an inheritance to the Israelites by lot, he ordered you to give the inheritance of our brother Zelophehad to his daughters. Now suppose they marry men from other Israelite tribes. Then their inheritance will be taken from our ancestral inheritance and added to that of the tribe they marry into. And so part of the inheritance allotted to us will be taken away. When the year of Jubilee for the Israelites comes, their inheritance will be added to that of the tribe in which they marry, and their property will be taken from the tribal inheritance of our ancestors." So, if you've ever been wondering about why the male um, child is generally has always been the inheritor of things, specifically in the Bible, here's a good clue into this: tribal integrity. If you keep things on the male side, you keep everything within the tribe. That way, if it allows you to marry outside of the tribe without losing portions. And so what the tribes of Manasseh end up coming into this because they're worried about their inheritance, right? They're worried about the integrity of their claim in the promised land. And they're saying, okay, you gave Zelophehad's daughters their portion. And now we've set a precedent, right? We have a rule. We have something that God has commanded. We have a commandment. Excuse me. What happens if they marry somebody in, say, Reuben's tribe or a Simeonite? Well, when that inheritance goes to Reuben's clan, and now it's out of our hands. And so now things can get, and then, obviously Zelophehad is not going to be the only guy. He's probably not the only guy in the Exodus who has died without a son as an heir and only daughters. So now you have some real crazy scenario where tribal land is going back and forth and everything, and you can't set it up the way you can't keep the stuff intact. You lack tribal integrity. So that's what they're worrying about. What happens if this happens? Then at the Lord's command, Moses gave this order to the Israelites. What the tribe of the descendants of Joseph is saying is right. This is what the Lord commands for Zelophehad's daughters. They may marry anyone they please as long as they marry within their father's tribal clan. No inheritance in Israel is to pass from one tribe to another, for every Israelite shall keep the tribal inheritance of their ancestors. Every daughter who inherits land in any Israelite tribe must marry someone in their father's tribal clan so that every Israelite will possess the inheritance of their ancestors. No inheritance may pass from one tribe to another, for each Israelite tribe is to keep the land it inherits. So Zelophehad's daughters did as the Lord commanded Moses. Zelophehad's daughters, Mahlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah, married their cousins on their father's side. They married within the clans of the descendants of Joseph, or descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, and their inheritance remained in their father's tribe and clan. These are the commands and regulations the Lord gave through Moses to the Israelites on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. There you go. Now, if they had asked, what if we still want to marry someone else? God could have said, too bad. Or what is probably likely is he would have said, if you do that, you forsake your inheritance. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of that actually happened. They might not be first cousins, though, Nico. I mean, let's put this into perspective, right? Manasseh is born and dies, probably. Manasseh might die in captivity, but Manasseh is the son of Joseph. When Joseph dies, within a generation, the Egyptians have enslaved the Israelites. 400 years later, Moses comes. That's how much time those tribes have been given to expand. So we're talking about, several iterations of cousins. They might say cousins because they're from tribes within tribes. Because, like I said, the clan of Gilead, son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, right? We're several generations in at this point. And into that we have Zelophehad and his daughters are the ones at play here. But yeah, it sounds very incestuous. But I don't think it even counts at that point. Other than semantics. Semantics for Semitics. Be a good title for something, some sort of bit I've got in here, but I don't think we'd run into it enough. All right, where was I at? Nope. Yes, I was. Hang on. Nope. 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 All right, Machir's wife, Maacah, gave birth to a son and named him Perish. His brother was named Sheresh, and his sons were Ulam and Rakim. The son of Ulam, Bedan. These were the sons of Gilead, son of Machir, the son of Manasseh. His sister, Hamoleketh, gave birth to Ishad, Abizer, and Mala. The sons of Shemitah were Ahian, Shechem, Likhi, and Aniam. There's a lot of different ways you can pronounce some of these things and still maybe be right. The descendants of Ephraim, Shethelah, Bered, his son, Tahath, his son, Elada, his son. Maybe it's Eliada. Might be Eliada. A lot. I don't know. His son. Tahath, his son. Zabad, his son. And Shuthelah, his son. Ezer and Eliad were killed by the native-born men of Gath when they went down to seize their livestock. Their father, Ephraim, mourned for them many days, and his relatives came to comfort him. Then he made love to his wife again. This is just like some sort of digression. He made love to his wife again, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. He named him Beriah because there had been misfortune in his family. His daughter was Shira, who built Lower and Upper Beth Horon, as well as Uzen Shira. Repha was his son, Resheph his son, Tela his son, Tahan his son, Ladan his son, Amihud his son, Elishama his son, Nun his son, and Joshua his son. Joshua, son of Nun, is the Joshua, son of Nun, in the book of Joshua, who rakes Their lands and settlements include Bethel and its surrounding villages, not the church, Naran to the east, Gezer and its villages to the west, and Shechem and its villages all the way to Aya and its villages. Along the borders of Manasseh were Beth Shan, Tanakh, Megiddo, and Dor. Together with their villages, the descendants of Joseph, son of Israel, lived in these towns. The only woman I could think of that successfully pulled that off was Cleopatra. Which one was that? What is that in reference to? Wait, did I not read this earlier? Hold on. Hang on. There we go. Emmanuel, sorry about that. I missed your comment. It makes sense because if it was given to a woman, historically speaking, yeah, they might have it, but it's almost very rare to see a woman protect her land from invasion. The only woman I could think of that successfully pulled that off was Cleopatra. Nah, yes, but I don't think that's why. Because I think the thing is, we're assuming that the society of the 12 tribes remains relatively gentle, right? And in good standing. There might be some rivalries, some feuding going on, but this is really to say, look, we're going to have these portions. And as they lay it out, and it's all laid out, and it becomes more clear when you look at a let me pull this up. All right. So take a look see. All right. So we've got all this stuff, and it's already kind of a mess because Simeon's like surrounded by Judah. But otherwise, I mean, it's like looking at counties, right? So here we have up here is Manasseh, right? And let's say that Golan, right? Because we'll use something that we talk about maybe in present day, the Golan Heights, something that's often talked about in Israel today as it results with her neighboring uh, nations, the Golan Heights, with some warring going on. Say Zelophehad's daughters had a portion in Golan, but they meet some dashing men from Ephraim, right? And they marry them. Their portion in Manasseh, if they don't do it this way, goes to Ephraim. Like if they do it where if they end up marrying them, that portion goes there. Now imagine that happening everywhere all the time. It's a mess. It is a absolute mess. And not only does that become a mess to keep up with from an administrative standpoint, but think about what kind of politics ultimately gets involved with that. It's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for unhealthy competition within a nation of people who are supposed to be family, ultimately family. We're all tribes from the origin of Jacob, Israel. We're Israelites. That means we're all from Israel, right? So they're all loosely related. We're not supposed to be competing with each other in that regard. We saw what happened when that we saw that happen with Joseph. And that was not something that God wanted. He took that sin and made greatness out of it with Joseph. But it is not the intention or the desire of God to see his chosen people compete at each other's throats over over rules that he puts in place. Nika said, I guess it made sense for the time period to be the best way. It was the best way. And if we still if we lived in a more biblical society, well, no, I don't think that would apply that much anyway either. I'm sharing my browser and not my. Yeah, because once God, brings the Gentiles into the fold, us Gentiles into the fold, then it ceases to be really we're brothers and sisters in Christ, and the family becomes more nuclear than it is tribal. Ugh. I don't know why I'm yawning. Oh, it might be the fact that I'm reading genealogy. Anyway, so Asher, the sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, and Beriah. Their sister was Sarah. The sons of Beriah, Heber and Malchiel, who was the father of Birzaith. Heber was the father of Japhlet, Shomer, and Hotham, and of their sister Shua. The sons of Japhlet, Pesach, Bimhal, and Ashvath. These were Japhlet's sons. The sons of Shomer, Ahi, Rogla, Huba, and Aram. The sons of his brother Helem, Zophah, Imnah, Shelesh, and Amal. The sons of Zophah, Sua, Harnefer, Shual, Beri, Imrah, Bezer, Had, Shama, Shilsha, Ithran, and Bera. The sons of Jether, Jephunah, Pipsa, or Pispa, and Ara. The sons of Ulah, Ara, Haniel, and Rizia. All these were descendants of Asher, heads of families, choice men, brave warriors, and outstanding leaders. The number of men ready for battle, as listed in their genealogy, was 26,000. Nico, imagine Prince Harry couldn't marry out of his tribe. Then there would be no Meghan. And who will become the first female president then? That would have been Bill Clinton was the first female president. Because Hillary ran the show. Or else he'd be dead. Now that I said that, something bad's going to happen to me. The genealogy of Saul the Benjamite. All right, remember, Saul the Benjamite is the first king of Israel after God, because God told the Israelites, you don't want a king, but if you don't want a human as a king, you already have me as a king, the King of Kings, the Kang of Kings. And here you go. Have this guy, this average guy. Let's make him king. Benjamin was the father of Bela, his firstborn, Ashbel the second son, Ahara the third, Noha the fourth, and Raphtha the fifth. The sons of Bela were Adar, Gera, Abihud, Abishua, Naaman, Ahoa, Gera, Shaphupan, and Huran. These were the descendants of Ehud, who were heads of families of those living in Geba and were deported to Manahath. Deported. Wrong. Naaman, Ahijah, and Gera, who deported them, and who was the father of Uzzah and Ahihud. Sons were born to Shaharaim in Moab after he had divorced his wives, Hushim and Bara. By his wife Hodesh, he had Jobab, Zibiah, Misha, Malcham, Jeuz, Sakia, and Mirma. Might be Mirma. These were his sons, heads of families. By Hushim, he had Abitub, and Elpal. The sons of Elpal, Eber, Misham, Shemed, who built Ono and Lod with its surrounding villages. Well, Good job, Shemit. And Beriah and Shema, who were the heads of families of those living in Aijalon, and who drove out the inhabitants of the Gath. Ahio, Shashak, Jerimoth, Zebediah, Arad, Eder, Michael. Every once in a while, you come around through a normal name. Samuel, Joshua. And here I am. Ahio, Shashak, Jerimoth, Zebediah, Arad, Eder, Michael, Ishpa, and Joha were the sons of Beriah. What's your name? Mike. Zebediah, Meshulam, Hizki, Heber, Ishmerai, Isliah, and Jobab were the sons of Epal. Joachim, Zikri, Zabdi, and Elienai, Zelethai, Eliel, Adiah, Beriah, and Shimrath were the sons of Shimei. Ishpan, Eber, Eliel, Abdon, not to be confused with Abaddon, Emmanuel. I know you're keeping your ears out for that. Zikri, Hananiah, Elam, Anthothesia, Ifdeah, and Penuel were the sons of Shashak. Shemsherai, Shahariah, Athaliah, Jerishia, Elijah, and Zikri were the sons of Jeroham. All these were heads of families, chiefs, as listed in their genealogy, and they lived in Jerusalem. Jael, the father of Gibeon, lived in Gibeon. His wife's name was Maacah, and his firstborn son was Abdon, followed by Zur, Kish, Baal, Ner, Nadab, Gedor, Ahio, Zechar, and Mikloth, who was the father of Shemaiah. They too lived near their relatives in Jerusalem. Ner was the father of Kish, Kish the father of Saul, and Saul the father of Jonathan. Yeah. Malchishua, Abinadab, and Eshbaal, the son of Jonathan. Meribaal, who was the father of Micah, the sons of Micah, Pithon, Melech, Tareah, and Ahaz. Ahaz was the father of Jehoiada. Jehoiada was the father of Alemeth, Asmaveth, and Zimri. And Zimri was the father of Mosa. Mosa was the father of Benai. Rapha was his son. Eleasa his son, and Azel his son. Azel had 6 sons, and these were their names. Here we go. Azrikam, Bokeru, Ishmael, Shariah, Obadiah, and Hanan. These were the sons of Azel, the sons of his brother Eshek. Ulam his firstborn, Jeush the second son, and Eliphalet the third. The sons of Ulam were brave warriors who could handle the bow. They had many sons and grandsons, 150 in all. Wow. Get busy, buddy. All these were the descendants of Benjamin. So it starts off the genealogy of Saul the Benjamite, but it's really just the descendants of Benjamin. Michael be chilling, bro. I guess that's why he is the normal name. Man, these names be crazy. Difficult to say. I'm glad you're saying it, not me. I am probably massacring these names. Baal, surely nothing's going to go wrong with naming your kid that. See, this is, again, we don't. Right? Why? Why name your kid Baal? Because you're a broken human being who's worshiping a false god named Baal, and you've worshipped him so much you name your kid after him. Yeah, exactly. Nothing can go wrong with that. It's so insane. It's all making sense now, hearing the genealogy that pertains to the kings. Yeah. And David's next. But we're not doing... We're going to do the genealogy of Saul again. That's going to be Tuesday. So, and there you have it. That's a genealogy, 7 to 8. And I don't know why I'm yawning, and we're only at an hour, which is kind of early for us, but I've got some I've got some indigestion going on. I've got some bad heartburn, so I'm gonna go take care of that and cut this stream early. Go take a Tums. Go from there. But yeah. All right, so no stream. No stream tomorrow. No stream Friday. No stream Monday. But we'll be back here on Tuesday. So it's going to be an extended break, extended weekend. So take this time to do other things. But I want to see you all back on Tuesday because I'm going to miss you guys. I'm going to be looking forward to putting these headphones on, turning this mic on, turning this camera on, and seeing all y'all's friendly chats because it's great. And this is Emmanuel. Exactly. This is the right attitude here. Good stream just goes to show the threads going to the original king and what they did with their leadership. Yeah. And again, genealogy is very important for prophecy on some things. And it's interesting to see where some of these folks that we've known and we've heard about in the Bible are landing in the genealogy, where Samuel lands, where Joshua lands, where so even to people as relatively insignificant as Zelophehad, where all this lands. And what Nico says, Chronicles is basically a recap episode. It is right now, and it's going to go. Remember how? So my weed friends, Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, right? It's the same story told from different perspectives. Kind of similar with Chronicles versus Kings. It's going to, but like I said, it's going to be going over the same time period, a lot of the same events, a little bit different perspective, more focus on Judah. More focused on Judah. So, with that said, guys, I'm yawning, heartburn. I got things to do, but I'll miss you guys. This is my first time actually going through the Bible and learning, says Emmanuel. That's why I said it's the reason people, you don't hear it a whole lot. You don't hear it a whole lot, but when people who have done it will say, read through the Bible. That's when, and this is why when Andy Stanley, and if guys who don't know who Andy Stanley is, I've talked about it a little bit. Andy Stanley is a pop preacher. He runs a couple of mega churches or a few mega churches down in the South and in the Mid-Atlantic, I think. I think the big one's in Georgia. He says a lot of things that get people interested in the word and a lot of things that are correct and good perspectives, but he also has very bad things that he says. He tells people that he tells his congregates that they need to unhitch from the Old Testament. He has said that it doesn't matter if whether the Bible is 100% accurate, just as long as it's mostly true. Again, the Bible is correct or it is not correct, because once you pull apart the idea of biblical inerrancy, then you can just make excuses to do whatever you want. Now, the Bible's probably wrong here. I don't like that. That doesn't line up with culture. Let's go here. And while Andy Stanley isn't affirming of certain hot button issue sins that we talk about in culture today, it's been made very clear that behind the scenes he's affirming. So The difference between OG Brotherhood and Full Metal or original is that they ran out of material for the original. They didn't complete it. The Bible is the truth. You can't follow, man. I enjoyed Full Metal Alchemist. I never finished Brotherhood, actually. Would love to get crap, now I can't think of his name. Who's the voice of crap. Oh, guys, help me out with this. It's only Wednesday, guys. I shouldn't be having these mind blocks. The guy that Nick was talking about. Edward. Vic. Gosh, Vic. I would love to get him on this show to talk about faith. And I think that he would be willing. I just need to get some FaceTime with him. Maybe introduce him to this show. Maybe just reach out. Get Vic on here to talk about his faith, not talk about the controversy, but kind of what came out of the controversy that he used as a learning experience to better himself because he wasn't living the life that he wanted to. He's done this talk. He's gone to churches and whatever to talk about this stuff. I would love to have him on here to kind of share that stuff if he's willing to. I might talk to Nick about this when I'm in Philadelphia to get his perspective on whether he thinks that's a good idea. Because I know there's litigation. There's still some possibility of litigation or still some ongoing litigation going on in his situation, and find out from him if he thinks that's a good idea. Because if he thinks it's all right, I might see if I can get him on. But if he tells me that might not be good for his cause, that might do some stuff, I'll shy away from it. Because like I said, I don't want to bring somebody on at their peril. But I think that somebody who has, because I listened to him a little bit on when Nick did his last interview with him. I think somebody who has, kind of let the fame, let the popularity, let the things that can drive many of these biblical people that we've been reading about into sin, and let them just waste away in it. He is somebody who was in it. He got the better of him, but he's pulled out. He's pulled out from it and learned some lessons from it. Something we didn't see Saul do. So I'd like to get him on here. I think it'd be a great. I think it would be a great episode. It would be a great opportunity for the channel to grow. This would be a great opportunity for some people to get mad at me, which it's drama is not something I'm interested in doing, but again, is what it is. I'm not that controversial on here, I don't think, but you never know. When the brigade comes, you never know what they're going to make up or what they're going to make a big deal out of. But yeah. Hang on. Brotherhood is a complete version of the whole manga. Okay. I need to sit down and watch through it. Because I think I'd enjoyed it. Because like I said, I enjoyed the original. And man, so I'd just like to see Vic's perception of the Bible and how he's grown from it. He truly is a great model to follow, to live by faith and not by law. Well, I mean, you live by faith, and by living through faith, you end up living the law, right? Because one of Jesus' comments, I'll say it again. If you love me, you will abide by my commandments. Those commandments were put place. when Jesus comes, he reminds people what the law is, and does not focus, or what he tries to get rid of is a lot of the punishment, right? The what we should do, because now these are what is sinful is still sinful, right? What's sinful is still sinful, but now we have a sacrifice. Now we have redemption. Now we have salvation. So we don't need to concern ourselves. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, man, that's right. I mean, by living like a Pharisee, put more like, yeah, exactly. But that's the difference, right? The Pharisees were so absorbed with the Pharisees used the law as a weapon, as opposed to a way of life, right? And they used the threat of the punishment as a weapon, much unlike, not unlike the federal government or the state government. You know, we can hold this potential punishment over your head to govern you, and you wonder why God said, "You don't need a king. I am your king." God's not going to do that. Even when even here we see God giving justice when people bring questions to him. And it's amazing how it all fits in with how things are supposed to be. How naturally the puzzles pieces just fit together, because it's almost like he created the rules so he knows how they're supposed to go. How he created the rules of the universe so he knows how it's supposed to work. Yeah. All right, let me go get a Tums. Let me go get a Rolaids or something. Emmanuel, Nico, Texan. It's a little quieter. MR, who's probably catching this on the replay at some point. Dresden, all you guys, thanks for being a great part of the chat. Have fun and be safe on this extended break from the show for the next few days, and we will reconvene on Tuesday. Hopefully, Monday night softball practice won't be as miserable as it was yesterday. It was freezing cold. My hands were numb when I went up the swing. My hand was buzzing like I'd just been stung by a wasp, a nest of wasps. So, you guys, like I said, be good. Love y'all. Be safe. We'll talk more. Oh, also, putting this out there. Me talking with the wife, we're probably coming to the Nashville show to see Nick and some other friends of ours that may be coming to that show. So if any of you guys were thinking of coming to it, it's a good chance to see me. Good chance to see me. And with that said, guys, y'all have a great evening and a great weekend. Good night. God bless. See y'all later.